What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys had a great day. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I had a good weekend. It was good. What did I do this weekend? I did laundry, do adulting things, and and then I went bowling. Bowling was cool as well, so that was good to do. I had an eventful weekend though. It was cool. Had a good time. And I don't normally get weekends off, so it's rare when I do. That's why I always sometimes feel like I'm missing out on things, because my friends have weekends off and I'm just like, oh well, I don't. But and happy Women's Month. It is Women's Month. It should always be Women's Month, I'm just saying. But this is our month, ladies, so happy Women's Month to the working women, the stay-at-home women, the 9 to 5 plus a hustle woman. So, shout out to the women who are doing it all. And you guys are appreciated. You're beautiful. You're loved. And you're doing the best that you can do. And don't let anybody tell you that you're not. You're working towards something, and that is to be celebrated every day. But yeah, as the first podcast of the month, I wanted to jump into circle around. Well, actually, it's not the first podcast of the month. It's the second one. But I wanted to kind of dive into some positivity. I mean, all of them are normally positive, the episodes, but I think this one is just more so about uplifting and wanting women to, or at least I noticed that a lot of women nowadays are sitting in their feminine, soft woman era. And I know it was a thing that women were really talking about heavy last year, more so, and I guess wanting to implement it this year. But I see a lot of women just now saying, like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to take a back seat. And some women are still struggling with it. Some women are trying to find a balance, but I think it is admirable for people to for women really to just see that that hardcore, toxic, rough energy, at some point you have to turn it off. Like, there has to be some age where you just say, you know what, I'm tired of being like that. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to always have to show my cards first. I want a man to prove to me what he can do for me rather than what I can do for him all the time. And just being pampered as a lady and receiving the things that we, I guess, are, I don't want to say owed, but receiving what it is that I guess comes with sitting in your feminine, soft woman era. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some women who, again, like I said, need some work. But we all do. We all need work. We all have our flaws. But I feel like once you get to that point in your life where you're just like, you know what, I'm tired of constantly running after, running after a guy. Let's just call it what it is. Running after a guy, running after what we're longing for. You really start to stop and think about what it is you're doing. And some people would say, like, it's a, well, I don't give a fuck type of energy anymore, but it's different, because there's I don't give a fuck and you really just don't want to talk to anybody, like you have no desire to speak or want to date or want to like get to know anyone. And then there's, well, I'll let you show me, and then I'll be the judge of whether or not I want to stay here. And I think that's more of what I mean when I say sit in your feminine, soft woman era, and staying in that from now on. Once you decide that, you know what, I'm ready to just like pull back and not do all of what it entails. Now, I know like the last few podcasts have been rather short, and mainly because I am gearing you guys up for next week. Is it next week? Hold on, is it next week? It is next week's. No, it's not next week's episode. It's the week after that episode, where I'm doing the part 2 of commitment issues in our generation and being in monogamous relationships. And I have a good panel of friends, but also friends who have been through, like, I didn't just ask anybody. I asked people who I know who have been through things, who are not only have they been through things, but also they're not afraid to share their story and how they got over it, and everybody bouncing ideas off of each other and basically just speaking about what we've been through now in this dating world, and also what they've learned about themselves and other people outside of, you know, while they're dating. But it's going to be really good. So I know that one's going to be, it's going to be rather long. So I've been making these kind of short, simple, to the point, and not dragging them out as much. But I'm very excited for actually not even, and not just that one. There's another one that I have that's targeting mental health. And I have a good friend of mine who I've known for a very long time. I think since like kindergarten we've known each other, and she's actually a mental health therapist, and I'm excited for her to be on the episode that's going to be after the commitment issue one. But going back to this episode, sitting in your soft woman feminine era forever, right? Here we go. Feminine era, soft woman era, passenger princess, sorry. We've heard all the names and seen all the pictures of women starting to take their soft side, like I said, more serious this go around than I've ever seen before. I feel like a lot of women my age, older, some younger, some in their 20s, some a majority of us in our 30s, and also some women in their 40s, I feel like have, like I said, stepped foot into this type of mindset, this type of headspace, this type of circle, whatever you want to call it. And I can appreciate that now. I can really see a lot of women working towards releasing what they used to do and being okay with seeing what a man can offer. Not only seeing what they can offer, but also, I guess it's also a bit of being tired of doing everything. And when I say doing everything, I mean planning the dates, staying in communication, wanting to, you know, be vulnerable and share stories, show emotion, show empathy, and show that like they're actually interested in this person. I feel like a lot of women are tired of just doing it and it being a one-way street, and most men sitting here like, well, we can do us, or, you know, that's good and all, but I'm focused on X, Y, and Z, and or even if they are focused on that, they don't know how to balance between getting to know this person, adding her into their schedule, and making the time to be around and be in the now. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why a lot of women have decided that, you know what, they're going to pull back from, I guess, focusing on wanting a relationship, but also forcing a relationship. And it's not easy to stay in a place so unfamiliar, and it's so easy to fall back into our old ways. And I say that because for me, going into my soft woman era was very awkward. It was weird to pull back. I've always been the type to, oh, let's go here, let's do that. Oh, you never been here, or let's go there. I drove majority of the time, and they either drove my car or I drove. I always saw that as, let me show you, again, vulnerable moment. I always like to say when I'm having vulnerable moment, but that's what I've made this podcast for, is for you to be vulnerable. And I don't mind sharing, like I said, I say all the time, I don't mind sharing the stories, because this is how I was able to get from that to where I'm at right now. And basically saying, like, showing my cards, like my mom would always say, you show your cards too fast, don't show them as much or as fast as you're doing. Pull back and let them show you what they have first. And I used to be hard-headed. I don't think I'm hard-headed now. I think I'm way better now that I've gone through everything that I've gone through in all aspects of my life. Still learning, obviously, but not as defiant or not as unwilling to take criticism as I wasn't able to do back then. But I was definitely, now that I can look back on it, I was showing the guys who I was in relationships with what I can do first before they showed me what they can do, and would then cause me to feel burnt out, stressed out, irritated, annoyed, feeling like I'm giving more than I'm receiving. And like I said, it's not an easy place to stay in. It's not an easy place to step foot into, because you're really just pulling back, and I guess in a sense surrendering to the process, if you want to call it that. And when I say the process, I mean letting a guy be a guy and letting a man be a man. And for, I don't know, like how long, like a few, especially last year, like I guess like I saw a lot of it more so last year than I've seen it before, where men would always have this argument or always want to go into competition with women when it comes to this. Y'all gotta let men be men. I think it was just like certain posts that I would see on Instagram or certain podcasts I was listening to on just everywhere, and even on YouTube, I would just see certain things, and men would always say stupid comments like that, like, y'all gotta let men be men, y'all gotta let men, let a man be a man. I want to be the man in a relationship. And then when you ask them, well, so what's a man in a relationship, they like, letting a man be a man. No, that's not, you're not answering the question. What is a man being a man in a relationship? And for some men, they just don't know, because they weren't raised by a man. They were raised by a woman their entire life. Some had to learn from other men who were in their family, or another man who was brought into their life, or men, that they've probably seen on TV, men that were probably in their friends' lives who they then saw and took advice from, men that they found on the street that became their mentors, and some men choosing to just learn through it as the years go by on their own. And then there are some men who grew up with fathers in the house and learned from them. So it's just a bunch of different ways that people can interpret the whole letting a man be a man thing. But that's like, I think, a whole different type of conversation. We're not talking about y'all right now. We're talking about us. It's Women's Month, like I said, so we're bringing it back to the woman. But why is it so hard to transform from your hard side to your soft side, ladies? So I think that was like the first question that was really hard for me to answer, because I was just like, well, then how do I really like move on from being the man, I guess, in the relationship, or having this hard side of me and letting that go, and becoming and being okay with my softer feminine side. And to really think about it, I think it was just hard. And I think for most women it's hard because we're scared of wasting our time. and putting in emotional effort, because we are emotional. Every woman is emotional, whether you want to say it doesn't. And women say like, oh, you're emotional. So I've heard some women say like, oh, you're only emotional when you cry. No, when you're angry, that's showing emotion, sweetheart. So regardless of however you show it, you're showing it one way. You're either showing it angry, you're showing it in tears, you're showing it in silence, you're showing it somehow, some way, but that's an emotion. I feel like we feel like we're wasting our time, and that's something that we don't want to do. We don't want to be vulnerable to someone who doesn't deserve our vulnerability. We don't want to share stories with someone who we shouldn't be sharing it with, someone who's going to just bullshit us months down the line. And I feel like even with a part of being in the soft woman, we just basically, like I said, we're giving up control, and we're allowing you as the man to do what, I guess, quote unquote, men are supposed to do, or what men are, I guess, like, supposed to do. And I guess a lot of it comes from how men treated our grandparents and our great grandparents, where there was more of a chivalry. Like, men at during those times, I feel like were more chivalrous. Am I saying it right? Chivalrous. There you go. Couldn't get the L out. And they had no problem opening the door. They had no problem paying the bill for the restaurant. They had no problem coming up with dates. They had no problem coming up with protecting and providing and doing what in those times were considered a man's role, taking care of, like, and then I guess when it comes to marriage and a household, taking care of the home, bringing home the money and being taken care of by your wife after you got home, but also showing your wife the appreciation of, thank you for taking care of the home, thank you for looking after the children, still showing her love and appreciation for what she's done while she's doing the same for you. Thank you for going out to work, and I know it might have been stressful, you might have to deal with the nonsense that you have to deal with, but thank you for coming home and being the man of the house. And things were reciprocated. Like, she cooked him dinner or cooked the whole house dinner, had his shower ready, whatever. He came home, loved on her, gave her a hug, XY, just all of these things, that it was just like reciprocated energy. And I feel like those women back then were probably able to sit in their soft woman totality, because it was just like that's what they had to do, and the men made it comfortable for them to do it, if that makes sense. Now when you fast forward to 2024, the women, we're tired. We are tired. We're tired of doing it all. And like I said, I think that's why a lot of women now are pulling back. And the big word, I think, like I said, is just because women are tired. But I feel and exhausted, and just saying, you know what, forget it, and I've heard a lot of women say too that they're allowing God to just take control of the situation and just focusing on them. And then when they feel like it's the right time, they'll either go back out and they'll date again, or they'll give their time to someone who they may have talked to in the past and rekindle that relationship or whatever. But I feel like today women are just like, they're over it, and they're over, really, like I said, they're overstepping their boundaries. They're over wanting to be and uphold everything on their shoulders. And I only say that when it comes to dating. So don't get crazy and be like, what you talking about? Men hold things. I didn't say y'all didn't. Calm down. Take your boxes out your ass. I just said that when it comes to the dating side, and I have friends now who say that, where they have to come up with dates. They have to come up with ideas of what to do and where they should go, and what's next, and conversation, just regular topics and conversation outside of what happened on Love is Blind, which, by the way, was crazy. If you didn't see the last episode of Love is Blind, I need y'all to go see that. But anyway, just stuff outside of like what the celebrities are doing and what this one is doing, like people outside of your tax bracket. Like, who cares? Can you talk about your deep feelings? Can you talk about where you see yourself in 5 years? Can you talk about, you say you want to have a family one day. How would you like to raise your children? Can you talk about the state of the world, and maybe not so much politics and, the right versus the left type of thing, but where you see yourself, where you stand in certain situations, and how you feel about what's going, like, you know what I mean? Like, just having more of a deeper conversation, where they're saying to me, like, we can't even get that now. Like, men don't even know how to just speak. You hear, like, y'all remember back in the day when you would fall asleep on the phone with the person who you, like, either your boyfriend or the person you were talking to, and like you would wake up the next day and your phone would be dead because y'all would fall asleep on the phone. It's like they're going through that now, where it's just breathing and they're not saying anything, or they're asking them a million times, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, how many times are you going to ask me, what am I doing? Doing the same thing that I was doing 5 minutes ago when you asked me what I was doing. Like, is there anything else that you could talk about besides that? So I think that has also led a lot of women to just pull back and want to understand their own femininity and understand where they need to reevaluate how they put themselves out there in the dating world. So, as usual, I wrote down the things that I did. And when I say I did it rather quickly too. I did this, what are we in, 2024? I did this summer of 2022. I wrote this down. And I still have it. Still have the paper written down. I like to write. Those of you who know me, y'all know that I like to write. I wrote down exactly what I wanted when it came to a relationship, when it came to how I wanted to see myself in the next 5 to 10 years, how I saw my life, and I wrote it down. And not only was I intentional with writing it, I was intentional about praying about it. Again, if you're not into God, if you're not into spirituality, I feel like you should get into it. I feel like you should start, but I'm not going to push you to do it. But every episode I will always input God into some part of it, because I'm letting y'all know this from jump. A lot of what I have now and how I see things now is not just because of me, it's because of God working in me. And me being able to surrender and just say, okay, I'm done trying to do everything my own way. I'm going to let you do this. Because every time I do it my way, I'm stressed out, I'm annoyed, I'm irritated, I'm broken, I'm depressed, I'm like going through it all. I'm in silence. I don't want to speak to nobody. Like, I'm already the type of person who's always like in her own little world doing her own thing. But when I was going through those moments and those times, you would have never known, because you would never seen it. I don't show it and I don't speak about it. And when I had to really just say, you know what, God, I'm giving this to you. Like, I talk to God like how I talk to you guys, like on my episodes. I talk to him just like this. and without the cursing. I don't curse. But I speak to him just like this. And I was writing down, like I said, everything that I wanted, and I was intentional about it. And I was like, this is what I would like. If you have something else for me, because God always has better for you than what you have intended for yourself. But if you have something better for me, I appreciate that as well. But this is what I would like for myself. And I started. So that was the first thing that I did, was writing down what you see for yourself. What is a soft woman era to you? Every woman has a different meaning when it comes to being in a soft woman era. What does that mean to you? It could mean taking yourself to the spa. And there are some very affordable spas. Don't get it twisted. Y'all don't always got to go to the city. Amanda put me onto that, because I was always going on into the city. I always went to like 3 different spas that were so expensive. But I found one that was actually really good in Queens, and I don't go every week, but I did say like I need to go more often, because I do find that relaxing. And for me, that was a part of my sitting in my feminine era. I always liked the spa, but I just never made it a thing or a priority. So that was one thing. Soft woman era to me was, ow, I hit my foot, sorry. Soft woman era to me also was listening to music more, and listening to music that didn't have all of this. Like, it's cool and all to listen to Sexy Red, it's cool and all to listen to all of, the ratchet music. It's cool, you want to turn up sometimes, but sometimes just to put something on with no words. Like, I think I spoke about this maybe last episode or the episode before that, where I said listening to jazz music. My grandmother always played jazz music in the house. I never understood why she did that, but she told me before, like, sometimes you just need to sit in silence. Sometimes you just need to sit with your thoughts. Sometimes you just need to sit listening to some smooth jazz. You can go on Pandora. You can probably go on Apple Music as well, Spotify. You can go all of them, YouTube, and you can just put smooth jazz. And while you're either typing, you're writing, you're doing homework, you're reading the Bible, you're cleaning the house, put that on, and just, you feel like a sense of calmness come over you. Like, you're just not so turned up, and you're not so, acting like you got a gun in your hand and pointing it to yourself while you singing all the lyrics and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just not doing all the extra hype shit that you do, but instead of just sitting down on some, or just moving around, but just, on some more relaxing music. I wouldn't put on, I also put nature sounds, but that's just to help me fall asleep. That's really not to do any work around the house or anything like that. But just doing that was also a part of my soft woman era. When it came to dating, I said to myself, I'm no longer going to make suggestions of where I wanted to go on a date. I said, okay, you want to take me out? You plan the date. Whenever I was asked, so what day are you free? I'm free this day, that day, and this day. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So we'll see what happens. And I left it at that. Normally, I would go on well, I'm free this day and that day and that day. What day are you free? And he'll say, oh, I'm free this day, that day, and that day. Okay, cool. So let's go this day to, and I would just jump to making the plan. Or even if I didn't jump at that exact moment, a day, 2 days will go by. I'm like, okay, so why don't we go to, I would then jump at that moment and then say, okay, this is where we're going for our date. I said, no, I'm not doing that no more. You want to take me out on a date? Take me out on a date. Where are we going? And not only are you going to you want to take me out on a date, but you're also going to pick me up. I'm going to be passenger princess now. No more, I'm driving, can you pick me? No. Even now when I think about it, like I said, I got no shame in saying some of the things that I tell y'all. I only tell y'all the things that I want y'all to know. I don't have to tell y'all everything. But the things that I do tell y'all, I'm okay with speaking about. Some guy one time, it was like probably years ago, he said, we was supposed to go somewhere, he had mentioned. And I'm like, and the way he said it, he was like, yeah, just come pick me up, babe. And in my head, I'm like, what you talking about, pick you up? I ended up saying, yeah. I said, okay, just send me an address. But in my head, it was registering like, did he just say pick me up? And I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. I really don't, because it wasn't worth it. But I say that now because it's just, years have gone by, maturity and whatever. But I've said that now, like, no, pick me up. I'm not driving anywhere. Come get me. That was also a part of me sitting in my soulful whatever. But that was the first thing. The second thing that I feel like as women that we need to also do, like I said already, was be intentional with what you're asking for, and know that when God delivers it to you, be ready for it. And if you feel like you're not ready for it, don't ask for it, because it's gonna come to you. It's gonna come to you, and not on your timing. It's gonna come at God's timing. And sometimes too, God will test you and will give it to you at that moment and pull it right back from you. Like, okay, so this is what you like. This is what this is what you've asked for. But hold on, I need you to just keep working on yourself a little bit more. I don't want you to jump into this because I see you about to jump into it, but I'm gonna pull it right back because I need you to be focused. I need you to either, and whatever it is, whether it's something that you have to do for yourself or if it's something that he needs you to do for him, maybe God wants you to have a relationship with him first. I feel like that was a thing for me, especially recently. Like, girl, you've been doing everything yourself. You've been trying to maneuver every relationship, every situation, every type of career, every type of everything. You've been trying to do it yourself, and I keep telling you no, 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 and yet you keep going back thinking that you know the answers, and you don't. And once I started to receive the answers God was giving me, he also pulled it away from me. I'm like, well, wait a minute, hold on, like, why would you do that? That's not nice. Like, it's like as if you've given a baby something and they're happy, and then you snatch it back from them and then they start crying. Like, hold up, why would you do that? But you have to realize, like, not yet. You're not ready for it yet. You're almost there, but I can keep it in your eyesight. I can keep it in your vision. I can keep it in your peripherals. I can keep it right there in front of you. But I need you to focus on something else. It's there. You can still entertain it. You can still talk to him. You can still, or her, you can talk to whoever. But I need you to focus on yourself. I need you to go to therapy. I need you to continue to have a relationship with me. I need you to build your relationship with me. Can you trust me? That, I think, is the number one thing is, and I guess a lot of women that are now choosing to go, which I've noticed too, a lot of women are going down the spiritual route and getting closer to God as well. That I've heard them also say that it was all a test. Like, God's just testing them to see how much will you trust me to control your life and give you the things that you're asking for, with you doing your work. Because it's not just a thing of you sitting there not doing anything and he's going to give you stuff. No, he's going to push you in the right path, push you to keep going. But are you going to do the work, and are you going to allow him to guide you the way you need to be guided? Which also plays into a part of you finding the man that you want to be with. You can't expect God to give you something that you're not ready for. So that's the first thing. Oh, that's the second thing, sorry, is to be intentional with what you're asking for. If you're ready for a relationship, if you're ready for the man that you have been looking for, I wrote it down. So that's the other thing I want to say. I was about to go into number 3, but that's the other thing. I wrote it down. So like I said, the paper that I wrote down in 2022, I still have it. And the guy whom I'm dating now is everything on that list. Literally everything on that list. And I met him summer of 2023. And has everything. Now, of course, it's not going to be picture perfect. You're going to have some flaws. You have flaws, they're going to have flaws. So stop looking for this 100 out of 100 perfect person, because who really wants, like Beyonce said, that perfect love story anyway? Why would you want that? It's going to be boring. You're going to have some moments where you're not going to see eye to eye. You're going to have some moments where you can't stand him, he can't stand you. But as long as there's no disrespect, as long as there's no cursing, no you a bitch, well, that's why your dick is small, even if it ain't. That's why, just like low shots, telling, all of that is unnecessary. All of that is toxic. All of that is stupid, and it's immature. You're going to have problems. There may be one or two things that you may not like that your person does. There's going to be things that he may not like that you do. But there's a difference between what you will put up with that you don't like and what you're not going to put up with at all, because that's a boundary of yours. And be sure to understand the difference between what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, as far as like what is like, oh, absolutely not, I look at you and I gag type of thing. That was kind of harsh, but y'all know what I mean. Like something that you're just not going to compromise with, and something that you just cannot see yourself being okay with. And it's okay, because it's the same thing for guys. Guys shouldn't feel that they need to compromise what they like as well. But I wrote down everything. I think I wrote from the top of the page all the way to the bottom. I wrote it like diagonally. I wrote it like everything that I wanted in my next partner, whom I was praying to God to be my husband, and hoping that turns out to be the situation. But like I said, be intentional with what you're asking God for. And while you're doing that, work on yourself, which leads me to number 3, which is work on yourself. So I really wrote down, don't forget about yourself, but work on yourself as well. Right after you've written down, speaking English, Michelle, after you've written down what it is you are looking for and the guy that you're hoping God sends your way. Again, transparent moment, I would tend to forget about not only myself, but I would forget about friends also, which I feel like a lot of us do when we get into a happy relationship, or so we think it's a happy relationship, that we tend to focus just on this person. And we just, our friends are there. Like, of course I love you. Of course you're my friend. Of course I always talk to you, yada, yada. But you just forget to you need girls' night. You need alone time. What about the gym? You always used to go to the gym. What about, doing your Pinterest boards, because that's something that you was interested in? What about your work or your hobbies outside of work? You used to braid hair. Now all of a sudden you're not taking no clients. You used to do nails. Now all of a sudden you're not doing any nails. Even your own are looking shitty. No, I'm just joking. What about, you said you were thinking about going back to school. Now all of a sudden you're not thinking about going back to school. You were thinking about getting a certificate in something, whether it be lashes or getting your real estate license, or becoming a digital content creator. Anything. It can literally be anything that you were thinking about for yourself. And now that you are in this relationship, or now that you're speaking to this person, or you're getting to know this person, you forget about you. And it took me a while to understand that and to see that I also needed to be not only intentional with who I wanted to be in a relationship with, but who I already had a friendship with, and keeping those friendships and making them deeper. Not only just keeping them, but having them not be just surface level. And also working on myself, wanting to go to therapy and wanting to go back to the gym, wanting to continue writing. I had stopped writing, and like I said, I love to write, and I stopped writing. I wrote my first book, and if you guys didn't get it, it's on Amazon. The shit they didn't tell you about your 20s, and writing my first book, and now writing my second book, and getting that under wraps, and just remembering who I was outside of my relationship and keeping that going. So you never want to forget about who you are. It's great to have somebody else next to you. It's great to have somebody who you're interested in, and having somebody who's interested in you times 10. It's a great feeling, but you have to also remember what also made you you, and how you can keep that together in spite of another blessing that you now have. Number 4, I feel like, is crucial, especially when it comes to living in your soft woman era and staying in it. Say no. Say no. If it doesn't align with what you want, say no. No is an answer. You don't have to say no because, or no, see, this is why. No. And if they don't like it, then they will either fix it or they will move on. It's that simple. I always used to feel like I had to explain myself or explain why I didn't want, or I didn't understand, or not even explain myself. I didn't even feel okay with saying no. Like, I won't sit here and say, like, I never said no ever. Like, if I didn't really want to do something, I would say no. But, like, for instance, when it came to, like, oh, can you pick me up? And, like, I'm talking, like, relationship-wise. Can you pick me up? Or getting to know someone. In my head, I'm like, no. Like, I don't want to pick you up. But then I didn't want to seem like I was not being a team player, or I was being a brat, or I was being a bitch, or, you know, I wasn't understanding that in my head at the time. Like, I wasn't trying to understand that you have a car, they don't, it's okay, they're gonna get one, but you have one now, just pick them up. That's how I saw it in my head at the time. Now I'm like, no, get there yourself, or we just don't go at all. And even if it's not that, well, I didn't want to drive, I wanted you to pick me up. Like, I see, like, that's how I am now. Like, no, pick me up. Because I don't want to drive at all. So you pick me up. And now I'm okay with the response, in whatever response it is. Why you got to be like that? Because I don't want to drive. I've done it before. I'm not doing it again. And I've heard men say this before, like, oh, well, you're going to allow what other, some guy had said this, it wasn't to me, but I heard some guy say this, oh, you're going to allow what happened in your past relationships to affect what could happen in your future. The same thing that happened in my past is going to happen in my future if I talk to you, fool. This is why, like, my answers are my answers. This is why my boundaries are my boundaries. This is why, like I said, sitting in your soft woman era can sometimes make you want to flip back to your old ways, because it's like you don't want it. It can sometimes come off like you're being a bitch, but you're not. You're just setting a boundary, and you have a newfound respect for yourself, but respect for or expectations of what you see in a husband, what you see in a partner, what you see in a boyfriend, what you want for yourself, what you would want. Like, think about it like this. Would you want your daughter to date the guy or date the guys whom you've dated? And every time I would ask myself that question, I'm like, no. I would look at my kid like, bro, you're not for real. Like, girl, you're really not serious right now. Him? That? No. God bless him. But no. Like, if you really thought about the men whom you've dated, or the men that you're currently dating, the man that you're in a relationship with right now, whatever the case is, would you want your daughter to date him? And gentlemen, if you're listening to this, although this is for the ladies, but gentlemen, if you're listening to this, would you want your daughter to date someone like you? That is a question that's going to be asked in the round table, my first round table, with the commitment issues in our generation. So you guys stay tuned to that. That's coming up soon this month. But those are questions that I would ask. And when I ask those questions, I've asked to friends, I've asked to people who I was just having conversation with. Everyone was like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And I'm like, I know, neither did I, until I actually posed that question to myself. And I was like, damn, Michelle. Like, shit. I probably wouldn't be okay with my daughter dating the guys that I've dated. So be okay with saying no. Like I said, if it doesn't align with that list, and I hope all you ladies who are listening at y'all put that list together. And like I said, be intentional with it. Don't just put a list together and just be like, okay, well, fuck it. She said she did it, so I'm going to do it too. And not really be intentional with what it is you're looking for, or what you're asking God to give you. And if it's not God, it's the universe, it's whomever it is you're praying to. But for me, it's God. And asking him to give you exactly what it is you're looking for. Write it down. And if it doesn't align with what you want, then say no. And no, you're not a bitch. No, you're not being mean. No, you're not being an asshole. No, you're not being picky. You're doing what it is, and you're asking for what it is and who it is you want. And it's okay for you to want what you want. It's perfectly fine, and you don't have to be mean about it either. It's just those are your requirements. Number 5 is don't fall back into your old lifestyle. Like I said before, you have those moments where you'll feel like, well, it's not working. I'm trying this new way. I'm trying to date guys different from what I've normally date. I normally go for this type of guy that does A, B, and C. And now I'm looking for a guy that does X, Y, and Z. It can be difficult. It's really a patience game. It's like waiting, and it's like going through the process. And again, it's annoying. It can be very annoying. It can be. And you may not want to. You may feel like you're not getting anywhere. But you have to give it time. And you have to, like, really just, like I said, have all of these things lined up to get you to that point. And it will eventually get there. But don't fall back into the old lifestyle, because you're going to end up with the old results. You're going to end up with the same headache, the same stress, the same irritations, because you're going to be dating the same type of guy over and over and over and over again, and then wondering why you're getting the same result over and over and over and over and over again. Like, again, I've say it all the time. I've done it, where I would date this same type of guy, even recently, not recently, it was a while ago, but after my last relationship, when I was dating again, I think I've mentioned this before too, where I had dated like 4 guys or something like that, and just dating them, getting to know them, getting to see who they are. And I really sat back and I was just like, they're all the same. Like, granted, they all had different type of friends. They didn't know each other. They weren't from the same borough. They didn't know, they didn't know of each other. They all had different things that they were into, but ultimately their personality and the things that they wanted out of life was just the same. And they didn't want what I wanted, and they sugarcoated around it in different ways. And I had to just really take a back seat and look at them like, you guys are all the same. So I'm going to say bye to all of y'all. And it was a shock to them, because they were just like, huh? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. We could be friends, but that's as far as we're going. And for me, I didn't feel the need to fall back into it, because Like I said, I've been there, I've done it, I've known the results of I've seen the results of what I've got, what I've received when I stayed in those type of situations. And I was just tired of it. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was over it. So it was easier for me, at least, to just say, no, I'm good. But like I said, every woman has their own time clock. Every woman has their own moment of saying, you know what, I'm good. I don't I don't want to do this no more. Every woman has like that one water bottle. I call it the water bottle, when it overflows and you're just like, yeah, I'm done. You put a cap on it, you're good. You don't want it no more. And maybe you just haven't gotten to that point yet. Or maybe you have and you just keep letting it overflow. But you know that you're at that point where you're just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm good. Don't go back into your old ways. Stick through it. It will happen. You just have to give it some time. And the last part, I told you this was going to be really, really, really short and sweet. Because it's not really that much. I really don't feel like it's that much. And it may seem simple, but it's not. It is a lot of work, but it's something that can literally change and transform quick. I feel like if you just focus on it, if you just do these things that I did and how quickly it happened for me, I feel like it can happen just the same for you. Maybe not in the same time frame, but it can happen as far as like just the whole outcome. It can definitely happen. But the last thing is to let a man be a man. We probably all heard our parents or our older generation tell us, let a man be a man. He wants to be a man, let him be a man. And I say that in a sense of saying, let him date you. Let the guy show you that you're who he wants to be with. Let the guy show you that you're who he's taking serious. Let him take you out on dates. Let him pay for the bill. Let him buy you food on your days off. Let him give you flowers. Let him organize dates. Let him put things together for, just because moments. Little gifts here and there. Things that would put a smile on your face, that you have a conversation with him and he's hearing you. Not just listening, but he's hearing the things that you say that you like, what you don't like, and he makes an effort to make it work. Let him do it. Let them do it. Don't show your cards quick. Don't show him what you can do. Don't, you could tell him like, oh yeah, I like to travel. I like to do this and that and the third. Obviously, you're going to get to know them. Don't be boring. Get to know them. Let them get to know you. But let them show you, like, I've been hearing you. I've been listening to you. Now let me put it into play. I got it. Don't worry about it. I just love when a man says, I got it. Don't worry about it. Okay. Well, go ahead. Go get it then. Like, let them do that. Because again, I've heard so many men say that women nowadays don't let them be a man. They just they overstep. And then you also have men who don't, who want to be pampered like they're the woman as well, and not do anything in return in order to get that. So it's both sides. But I feel like if you're intentional, like I said, with what it is you want, you speak about what it is you're looking for, a guy will do it. The guy who wants to be with you is going to do it with no problem. You're not going to have to say it 3, 4, 5 times. You may have to say it twice. You may. But you may not. You may just have to say it one time. He gets it and he never does it again. So let him. Let him do what he needs to do in order to show you that he's interested in you. And learn what your soft woman era is. Whatever it is, whatever you think that you need to do in order to find that out. It could be just spending time with yourself and trying to see what it is you like. Like, a lot of women probably don't even know what they actually like, what they actually would want for their partner to do for them. How would you want your man to make you feel? Like your future man, because we're talking about our future husbands here. I'm bringing that energy into this. your future husband, your future lover forever, how would you want him to treat you? How would you want to feel? Would you want to feel safe? Would you want to feel protected? Would you want to feel nurtured? Would you want to feel secure? And, you know, you want to have and give that time to the right person. You don't want to waste time. And I feel like we've all wasted enough time, and we've all given that leeway maybe a little bit too long. And it's okay for you to want that for yourself now. It's okay for you to have kissed a few frogs and feel like, you know what, now this is the time for me to get what I deserve, and let me take accountability. It is kind of also like taking accountability for what you've allowed, and tell yourself you're going to sit where you know you are supposed to. You're going to embrace your femininity, and you're going to embrace the softness within you, and leave the toxicity alone, and leave all of that extra baggage and nonsense alone. And of course, you're going to feel tempted plenty of times. Of course, you're going to feel like, oh, they're playing in my face. But that's when you can say what you have to say to them in a respectful manner, and then just go about your way. You really don't owe anybody an explanation, to be honest. But if you feel like it, or if you want to, then go ahead. Do that. Like, say how you feel and stand on it, and then move accordingly. And they'll probably call you out your name. They'll probably say this and that. I mean, it's petty if they do, and it's real immature if they do. But it's fine, because that goes to show you that they're not even on your level still, by them acting the way that they're acting. And that's it, guys. And I hope it helped some of you guys who are trying to... some of you ladies that are trying to go into this new year. I mean, yeah, we're still 3 months in, but still, it's like, it's still fresh, it's still new, you still have time. There is no exact or right moment to do it. It's just when you're ready to do it, basically. And if you feel like you're ready, that you don't want to sit in that same headspace that you was in last year, or even the beginning of the year, and you want to change and transform yourself, it's not late. You're not late to it. You're not late to the party. You're not late to the whole invitation. Just because you see other women doing it and have been doing it for years or months, it doesn't mean that you can't start now. You can literally start whenever you're ready. But I think as women now, especially a lot of girls who are in their 30s like myself, I feel like, just from speaking to my friends alone, they're just allowing to let God do his thing, and also just do their part as well. Getting into who they are again, remembering who they were, and learning new things about themselves, and learning new things about what they may like and what they don't like, and putting boundaries around what they are accepting and what they won't accept. And you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you having a boundary, and there's nothing wrong with you saying no. There's nothing wrong with you writing down and being intentional with what you're asking for, and embrace that. And I feel like it can happen at any moment. It can happen, you could do it now, and it can happen for you next month. Like, you don't know. And if it doesn't happen for you next month, it can happen for you in 6 months. It can happen for you next year. It can happen for you in 2 years. It doesn't matter. The whole point is, you have to start somewhere, and you have to start really with yourself. And I'm still learning that to this day. Like, I'm still learning what I need to do for myself in order to get me to where I want to be, and changing my mind multiple times, and changing my ideas and what else I like to do. And it's okay for you to do that. And it's okay for you to want to do that for a relationship too. Shit, you want to be with this person forever, right? So might as well be someone who you are comfortable with and you feel secure with, not just someone you have lukewarm feelings for. Like, if you have that feeling, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to depart, respectfully. But I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, any suggestions that you guys want, any topic suggestions that you guys have, you can always DM me at Drinks After Work underscore podcast. That is the IG, and I will take all of them. I'll take all of them into consideration. Make sure you guys interact on Wednesdays for the live. I'm gonna go live on the again at the Drinks After Work underscore podcast IG, and I'm also going to do a live stream at the end of the month, 2 live streams. I'm very excited about them, so stay tuned for those. And if you want to be a part of any of the roundtables that I will put out, let me know. I'm interested to have everybody on there. I like everybody's ideas and everybody's feedback, and everybody has a different type of mindset. So it's good to have the conversation and just be open and vulnerable and honest. And don't do, not to do things for the cameras and not to do things for a reaction. Like, that's just what it is. And, just being real, right? But I hope you guys have a good night. I hope you guys get some rest. Whatever happened today, please leave it in today. Don't bring it into tomorrow. Let tomorrow have its own issues and its own worries and its own joys. I love you guys for listening. Take care, guys. Bye.